A lot of you know I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, and whenever I say that, people ask, Bricky, have you seen The Expanse? And I always say, never have myself, always met with an immediate rebuttal of how could you have not? Lo and behold, fate invites me with an email to be a part of a major Telltale Games revitalization and Expanse game sponsorship. Telltale, the studio behind the Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us games, Among Us, are back, full stop, and are making an Expanse Telltale game. And this isn't just come record the game. No. It's come join us, enter this crazy airlock, meet the actress who plays Captain Drummer, the main character of the game, and a bunch of stuff from the actual show, real props, all dedicated to the Expanse TV show. And I kind of want to watch the Expanse now. And for the most part, if you're familiar with Telltale Games, you know, the storytelling, the character development, the choices you make, this is right at home. Like, it feels so obviously Telltale. I played about 30 to 45 minutes of the game, and it's exactly how I remembered it. I made like 3 to 4 game-changing decisions in the 30 to 45 minute game time I had. I was picking up all kinds of slang and lingo throughout, like belters, I think it's skinnies. I guess skinnies is a bad word. And yeah, there are a couple things, like as I'm walking around the ship, the animations aren't particularly great. They feel a little stiff, a little stilted there. But honest to God, it makes me care a lot less because one, it was obviously a pre-release build, and two, they're letting me say that in the sponsorship. That means everything to me. I really enjoyed my time. It was a great event. The game was interesting, fun. I was impressed with how telltale-y it was, and I think you should genuinely give it a look. You can find it down there in the description on a multitude of platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, Epic Games Store, etc. Episode 1 is out July 27th, with more episodes out every 2 weeks after that. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video, Telltale, and let's talk about Moonbreaker. Let me pitch you a video game. It's a turn-based PvP one-on-one strategy game. In this game, you have a roster. This is a major character called the Captain and a bunch of little individual models known as your crew. Now, you load into the game with a little XCOM, a little Hearthstone, and a little Warhammer Mechanicus. As the game goes on, you fight over territories and captains, allowing you to bring in your crew as the game progresses. All of your units have special abilities, buffs, debuffs, special attacks, manipulation, control, and you utilize these in ways to defeat your opponent. Then, when you're done with your game, you can head to the paint gallery and customize each of your models to your heart's content, utilizing all kinds of painting techniques like dry brushing, airbrushing, stippling, washes, and so on, all built within the game's systems. These newly made models, which you've made your own, are then voiced by some of the top voice talent in video games right now.
Dropping a naughty one.
Need half a second.
It's within my grasp. Who you need gone?
Don't mind the woman behind the big gun.
This game, headed by the developers Unknown Worlds, famously known for their outstanding survival game, Subnautica. And if that wasn't enough, it's topped off by a lore universe written by esteemed author Brandon Sanderson, with multiple high-quality audio dramas detailing the captains and universe. This game would be called Moonbreaker. And at the time of recording this, it would have had an average 24-hour player count of 15. This is frankly unacceptable. But my opening spiel was not one of those situations where I discuss all the reasons the game should be good. Moonbreaker is good, excellent even. And as an early access game, it puts AAA products to shame with its innovation, character, and deep as the Mariana fucking Trench level of gameplay systems. See, if you're a fan of Warhammer, like many of you are, this game checks so many boxes overall. Not only does it have one of the most robust painting systems I've seen in a video game, but it's painting that can be generally utilized, because Moonbreaker is a small-scale Warhammer style kind of game with like the kill team and stuff, with excellent voice acting, animation, and strategy. The game goes like this. It's a sci-fi style world with all kinds of wacky characters that range from nobles and honor-bound guards to raiders and scavengers and then plants. Oh, there's so many plants. Before starting a game, you create a roster. This roster consists of a captain and 10 crew, and there are no restrictions on what crew you want to bring. If you take the swashbuckling, ramshackle Zax Jakar, you can still totally fill his crew with nothing but plant people. And in a sense, at this point, you can just jump into a game. Your captain is dropped down first on one of many rather pretty looking maps, and you get your eye on the current objectives, major ones, and then little cinder piles to the side with some variety in how they're set up. The goal is one of two: either gain victory stars by starting your turn in control of these three objectives, or kill the enemy captain. But to do so, you'll need some Cinder. Cinder represents action points. Gathering these allow your captain and crew to use abilities, and you get more Cinder each round along with more and more points to summon new crew. And crews scale in power, so simple, cheap crew can be dropped earlier while more expensive, powerful crew come later. From there, the objective is simple: get enough victory points or kill the enemy captain. Both are completely valid options and have their own school of play. How you do so depends on the game plan you've set up with your team and how you want to react to the enemy. Because most crew have between 6 to 12 health for the most part, some outliers here or there, but the captain is 25. So killing the captain is an exercise in attrition. Maybe it's better that you camp the objectives and win by points, but the enemy can stop your objective by just standing on it. You can have 5 people on it and they can have 1, and that's all they need to contest, and that's where things get wild. Oh boy, there are so many fucking strategies in this game. I feel like I'm going insane. Winning the game, oh, it's simple, right? But then you get to the units. Oh no, the ceiling is infinite. Let's say we get my boy Maximus.
I'm missing a massage for this.
He's a super cheap cost, and he hits for only 1 damage at range, but he's got rapid fire, allowing him to pop, 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 2-tap. But hitting an enemy refreshes his move. So he pops out, blasts you, and dips away. Good harassment, and that mobility can make him really good at taking objectives. Pop him out, shoot you, and get even closer. Ooh, let's get slightly more expensive. Beatrice.
Ready for swift action.
Is a 2-cost large melee unit. She's slow, but she's got armor, which reduces all damage she takes by 1. And her melee is a long spear line, allowing her to hit enemies behind her main target. Now, Arya, my beloved,
Let's get it on. From a distance.
Is a sniper character. Moonbreaker has range. The farther you are, the harder it is to hit people. This is represented by a percentage to hit that gets smaller with range, or through other things like units and cover. But Arya has a big-ass gun, and she's kind of a loner.
Please don't make me mingle.
So she has a 2 Cinder cost ability to give her 75% more accuracy so long as she doesn't move or take damage. That 3 damage shot is really gonna hit. Oh, and she also has Ambush, a keyword that lets her be deployed anywhere and not just near your captain. Oh, and don't think we're stopping anytime soon. It's time for Dome. The Aegis Defense Dome, also known as motherfucking Dome, is an AoE that reduces all damage every one of your crew takes in it by 1, allowing you to have some infuriating turtle compositions. But oh no. He's behind me, isn't he? It's him. The Destroyer of Galaxies. Tipu. The Destroyer of Galaxies is a 4-cost, 3 damage melee crew with 12 health. But every single time Tipu attacks, Tipu gains a permanent +1 damage and +1 health. Tipu can become a problem. Oh, and how could we ever forget the 7-cost Florio Lancer, a gigantic artillery barrage from across the goddamn screen? Now, young chap, you might be thinking to yourself already, you said Beatrice has armor, which reduces damage by 1, and motherfucking Dome reduces damage by 1. Does it stack? Why, yes, it does. Did you know when you attack an enemy and they are within melee range of you, once you're done, they will strike you back as retaliation. Remember when I said Tipu gained a permanent attack and health every time it attacks? Every time? You want to know why Tipu is the destroyer of galaxies? Hey, look. It's Drum Dancer Tali. She has an ability to give a unit pummel, which allows it to strike twice. Oh, look, I'm running Astra. She's my captain. I can spend Cinder for Into the Breach, which allows me to refresh a unit's attacks, move, and abilities. Oh, right. Drum Dancer Tali's ability is pummel for the whole turn. What the Tipu doing? Oh, nothing. Just dismantling society as we know it. Much like my, fancy exterior skin I made myself. Society exterior. I should not be let near a paintbrush. Ironically, Tipu, destroyer of galaxies, can't do that anymore with the Astra refreshing the range thing, but still, it's pretty ridiculous, right? They realized it was too strong, so. But this isn't even the beginning of the shit you can do. Chuck and Co is a really solid unit. Good health, armor, just functionally pretty nice. Chuck and Co can also, you know, fling enemies in the direction he's facing. The Chuck, you know, doing 1 damage and generally being pretty good displacing people. See, I found out though a while ago that Chuck can fling anything, be it ally, enemy, or even item. See, Zax is a captain known for his ranged manipulation. His gun knocks back enemies, and he has a black hole portal to suck people in, and he can drop a mine. Now, this mine takes a full turn to arm, but when it's armed, once it is touched, it will explode for 3 damage in an area. Now, what if I said Chuck doesn't need to be in base-to-base contact to fling something? Who's to say I haven't delivered a mine towards an enemy once or twice? Who's to say I haven't flung my own Tipu, destroyer of galaxies, towards the enemy, which doesn't count as movement, mind you, and then Tipu has closed the distance and rendered buttholes sundered. Arya, my beloved, is a great ranged character, as we have mentioned, but what if you had Deadeye? Deadeye can give a unit 40% increased accuracy for 2 turns. And what if Taria, Arsenal, who gives the unit rapid fire to double shoot, happened to be by her? And just, what if someone like Amplifier Bitol was around, giving Arya extra damage? Could that mean I could feasibly do 8 damage to whatever I wanted at any target in the open? Perhaps. Oh, and Taria and Deadeye have guns too, you know. Furia is a high-cost unit, big, beefy. Every turn you don't shoot her, she gains 3 damage and takes 1 damage. This stacks, as long as you'd like it to. But I'm running Zuna, who can put a buff on a crew member to regen 3 HP to them every single turn. So I can just sit in the back, charge Furia up, over and over and over again, until her next shot will one-shot the enemy captain. All I need to do is, you know, keep her safe. That's fine. We have Tipu, destroyer of galaxies. I can be here like forever, man. And you know what? Maybe I shouldn't stop. Here's some more. Hidden Run is a melee version of Maximus, where she strikes for a whopping 4 damage and then can move again. But why not make her an assassin?
Let me see what you have.
No! Get Drum Dancer on her, double attack, and then use Gardener Captain to nest an area with increased movement, giving her 9 speed for the movement, one of the fastest units in the whole game, and have her run up, deal 8 damage to some poor son of a bitch, and run away. Rinse, repeat. Flurry is about as calm as, well, you know, most chefs.
This is all your fault!
And does 3 damage to everything in an area after taking damage. It's taking damage from anyone. So the damage he takes from a retaliation melee, the damage he takes from AoE, perhaps the damage he takes from you. Gaslight him, girl boss him, gatekeep him, and smack your own unit to watch him kill every one of theirs. No, Oh, it's a continuous loop. Oh, what's that? You don't have enough AoE stuff to hit him with? Oh, well, lucky you. You have Arms Dealer Yuki, which gives all nearby allies a one-use grenade, mine, or flamethrower. It doesn't stop. It genuinely doesn't stop. Every single time I discover new concepts, new builds, I craft ridiculous shit. And what's insane is that, sure, I mean, some of the stuff I've told you about sounds OP, and sure, some enemies get buffs and nerfs here, but let me tell you that there's a counter to all of it. Pacifier O'Teal? Yeah, I'm still going. He's a pacifist, so their ability is... return any crew back to the bridge. I mean, of course the enemy can summon them back, but the turn you summon something, they're stunned with summoning sickness and can't do anything. So imagine spending all that power on Tipu just to have him yeet all the way back to the ship. Or how about Torian, who gives himself and the closest ally 50% harder to hit on the accuracy table. And then you play Zuna, who can create an obscuring bubble, making it even more reduced. So you're in melee range with these fools, and you might not even hit them. Savria Safeguard. She can make the next time a unit takes damage reduced to 0. 1 damage, 5 million damage, it's 0. Fate Twister Tanton. Make it so the next time an enemy attacks, it will always miss. Or one of your allies, and it will always hit. For every crazy combo, there is a crazier one that can stop it, or force your opponent to do something else. It is a game of mind-bending customization, where every single match is followed up with, oh man, what if I put X with Y and use Z? That would be insane. The strategy volume of it makes it an absolute mainstay for this kind of genre. I played StarCraft 2 on stream a bit ago, and I was so impressed at how terrible I was. I want to make this very clear, chat. I want to make this extremely clear. Shut the fuck up. It was an insane level of skill and strategy needed to be good at that game. Though it felt so good to play a game that needed high-level strategy again. I get the exact same feeling from Moonbreaker. I need to think, deliberate, be intelligent. That's quite difficult. And being a good tactician will win you games more than a team or percentage to hit chance ever will. And this is just the gameplay. Everything else about this game is excellent too. Like, as you've been hearing lately, the voice acting work is amazing.
Ah, the art of surprise! Ready yourself for doom!
In fact, it was a shame I couldn't find the individual voice lines for the characters on YouTube. So I reached out to the community manager, and the devs gave me the actual sound files so I could use them in this video. And the voice acting talent they have is insanity. You might be able to recognize a ton on the voice alone. Zax is our beloved Matt Mercer. That's an easy one.
I hate littering, but if you ignore it, maybe it'll go away. Ugh, it's glistening.
But Beatrice is voiced by Carla Tassara, who voices Judy in Cyberpunk. And can I just say, when I got the folder of voice lines for this video, I didn't realize how many are in it. I was listening to them and cracking myself up because they weren't just good, they were kind of funny. Like, Beatrice is an enforcer, but her joke is that her armor is really fucking heavy, so...
I won't yield. Nice and far. Let me at them. Bravery requires teensy breaks. They'll break. The wings were a bad choice. This is getting silly.
Then Arya, my beloved, is the loner sniper, right? Voiced by Christina Milizia. She has this super dorky, adorable attitude in all her stuff.
I see them. Hope they don't see me. That's close enough. Gonna curl up with a book on the ship. Glad we invited you, Arya. I could hide in the corner. I'm okay. Avert your eyes. I wonder what would happen if I ate some cinder.
And she played Annie, Amumu, and Nunu in League back in 2009. Greg Chun plays Entios, a low-cost character who's all about punching.
Let us punch. Who says you cannot punch down? The fist that feeds, clenched and ready. You can unlearn. You can't unpunch.
League of Legends players, as if they aren't debilitated enough, are probably reeling from hearing Master Yi in another title. And then there's Broken Vengeance. And I mean, come on. You know who this is.
Vengeance here. Fine. Payback with a side of soiled shorts. If someone changed these settings, I'm gonna change their settings.
Oh, and side note, as if I could call an OST a side note, all the music in the background of these voice lines is from the game. The game has a bopping soundtrack that has absolutely zero right to go this hard. The entire audio department have killed it here. Between the attacking sounds, voice lines, and soundtrack, the whole thing is top level, one after the other. Though I think it's not just audio, but like rather the games feel as a whole. I've harped on art direction before, but I must say that Moonbreaker in its own right has a feeling that I haven't gotten in a game of its type. The lore and universe is written by Brandon Sanderson, which many of you will no doubt be familiar with. I and myself am not too familiar with him, but if this is the kind of stuff he makes, I think I might need to check it out a bit more. Like, it has this sci-fi swashbuckling multicultural feel to it. It's extremely colorful and cheery. The characters all have distinct personalities that tells you what they're about, but also a kind of a playful attitude. I think we can all agree that Marvel humor has gotten a bit out of hand, but it's less out of hand when the material it's in is supposed to be laid back and overly silly. Moonbreaker is really laid back. I mean, it isn't Stalker. You saw this in the voice lines plenty. It's silly and fun and enjoyable overall, and everyone has a shtick. It even translates to their movement. Like, originally, I heard criticism that the units themselves don't have animations. They don't move, as they are just static tabletop board pieces. But I think the lack of movement actually adds to their personality. Like, firstly, if they moved, then the whole aspect of painting is kind of lost. Painting a mini has to be static, because then you can highlight it a certain way, do zenithal highlights, object source lighting, and get the recesses shaded, all that other kind of jazz. But the movement is like a kid is playing toy soldiers and making vroom vroom stomp stomp sounds as they go around. Maximus, for example, is all full of himself, you know, the light-footed character. So he just bounces around as he moves. Zax is on a rocket, so he just lifts off and comes back down. Gardener is a big chunky plant bomb, so he stomps around with big lungering footsteps. Beatrice is thick and heavy. Hidden Run's got the zoomies. Motherfucking Dome will just jump and slam, and I could go on and on. Characters not being animated actually sells their character even more just from how they move and react on the battlefield. Like, I hope, I pray even, that you can understand why I have been having so much fun with this game. You know, me, the Warhammer guy and everything like that. It's literally almost everything I could have wanted for a game like this. Getting good matches is such a brilliant time. The game itself is fun, and there's so much to think about. Being reactive and proactive, painting up your own special army, making it your own. It really has all the hallmarks of one of the best strategy games on Steam, and I say that with full confidence. So, what happened? Why is the player count so low at the moment? Honestly, I think it's marketing. You know, we talked in my AAA video about the amount of money, millions and millions of dollars that go towards the marketing budget. Moonbreaker, despite being done by Unknown Worlds, despite being written by Brandon Sanderson, and despite being a tabletop gamer's wet dream, has barely seen any press. I know this because they hired me. Not for this video. No, this video already had a sponsor. This video isn't sponsored by Moonbreaker. And I have to say that legally, right? Like, if it was and I didn't tell you, I would be breaking the law and the FTC would be on my ass. No, I was actually given a sponsorship for Moonbreaker many months ago. 8 streams, 2 hours minimum. And as you can tell, it's got its grips in me, claws sunk deep. It was a total blast, but it didn't appear to pay off in numbers. And I think this was twofold. One, I mean, my Twitch stream is a fine size, it's got good numbers, but it's not insane. This is the kind of game that would have been better suited to some of the much larger streamers who have taken interest in this kind of game. But secondly, when I streamed it, this game was massively different. There was no objective mode. It was only kill the enemy captain. That was the whole point. So it created kind of these turtle builds or arm race builds, and the games went on for way too long. Plus, there wasn't quite enough in terms of captains and crew. Now, the game has been hugely overhauled. 5 captains, not 3. Tons of new crew. The new objective game mode making it significantly more balanced and giving all units a place. They redid how Cinder worked, how crew deployment worked. They rebalanced a ton of units. And for God's sakes, by the time this video is out, they're doing it again. Who knows what new things could be added even by the time I finish this script. I say that knowing full well what's going to be added. A few videos ago, I made my what even is AAA gaming video, right? Kind of a rant, it's all right. I mentioned Moonbreaker in that video. And then I get an email, CEO of Unknown Worlds and design director of Moonbreaker, Mr. Charlie Moon, sent me an email and said, hey, thanks for the shout out. I love to talk about the game more with you. And I took him up on it. We just chatted for a couple times, couple hours, just about the game, where it's going, what the plan was. I asked some hard questions about player count, about what the plan is, about here, there, and everywhere. I apologized for not bringing enough people into the game with my streams, despite, you know, still already being paid for it. The guy was a CEO for Subnautica as well, you know, design director of that game. For the last 5 years, they've been working on this game specifically, Moonbreaker. The excitement in his voice in the discussions were palpable, not just for what it is now, but for what it's becoming. He showed me the experimental branch changes, removal of summoning sickness, and new deployment strategies, how you place your units down, a new tug-of-war victory point system where you fight your opponent for points, not just reach 10, new captain ideas, new crew ideas, and even something months out, roster perks, special perks that you can get depending on what captain you run and how many of a certain faction you carry. And like, I don't even think I've discussed painting enough. Like, I don't think you realize how good this system is. It's so addictive. There are people who don't play, you know, tabletop board games. They just build and paint minis because they love the act of doing so. I thoroughly believe that if you don't enjoy the gameplay of Moonbreaker, you can still sink ungodly hours into the painting system. Way back when I was contracted to stream the game, they were 2-hour streams each time. Sometimes half of that stream, a full hour, was just me painting my unit. I think one of the streams I only painted, but then I would use those units to beat on fools. I cannot express this enough. There is no facet of this game I dislike. Maybe the options menu. It's a bit low on graphical options and stuff, but everything else I have described has been phenomenal. The gameplay is deep and rewarding. It's tactical and varied. The graphics are bright and colorful with characters voiced by top tier unionized voice talent. The soundtrack is phenomenal, and all of this whole package is technically still early access. This puts other early access projects to shame. No lag, not one crash. It feels feature complete. As far as I'm concerned, this is a YouTuber's dream. You know, I had the streams way back when, but I just mentioned this game in a video, and I got head honcho Charlie Dr. Moon contact me to talk about the game, and we just shot the shit. He was really nice, and he seemed like he had such a level of passion for the game, and I could tell that like the player count and stuff was really waning on him. All the things I just said, roster perks, all that fancy stuff, that's not really public knowledge. He showed it to me because he was excited, and I was like, am I allowed to say this? And he said, one sec, I have to ask. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a question posed by the end of this video. You're going to ask, should I buy Moonbreaker? Let's say you loved what you saw, but you're worried about the player count and longevity, because low player count is a big fear for a lot of people. To that I say this, if Moonbreaker has a player count of even a few hundred, that's enough. This isn't a 6v6 multiplayer shooter with lots of regions and skill levels. This is a one-on-one turn-based strategy PvP game. You only need 2 players for a game. Ping doesn't matter. It's turn-based, so location isn't a worry. The player count needed for this game to feel like it's totally dead is substantially lower than almost every other game. What this game truly needs is just confidence. It's $30, and I think it's extremely worth the price. To further prove my enjoyment of this game, I plan on streaming it on this YouTube channel for 3 streams for a few days after this video goes live, just to make it even more apparent. Whew, rounding this out, when I was speaking with Mr. Breaker, we discussed Subnautica's propelled success. We were reminded of Jacksepticeye, who played the game and really skyrocketed into popularity, pushing not only his own YouTube channel to bigger heights, but the game as well. I'm not Jacksepticeye. More come! I don't think I have the reach to do anything similar, but in this world, with what AAA gaming has become, and all the things I ranted about in that previous video, this is an early access game that has more character than $70 games, is better optimized than $70 games, treats its player base better than $70 games, is less than half the price, and made by 30 people in a niche that can genuinely explode with the right push. And that right there should be celebrated. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope I got it through to all of you that I really like this game. This is not a sponsored thing for that. This is not any of that stuff. I am genuine with the fact that I adore this title. I like the people who are making it. I like the conversations I had with the CEO. And at the end of the day, if this really blows up and does extremely well, I could totally see Games Workshop contracting them for some kind of DLC expansion or whatever that's Warhammer related. And it would be arguably one of the best Warhammer tabletop games ever made. I genuinely believe that. I'll go ahead and leave the Steam link for the game in the description. Check it out. Give it a look. I'll be streaming it on this channel anyway. You can watch me do that regardless. Thank you so much for watching. We're covering another strategy game next. A different kind, auto battler kind of game, but it'll be a good one. Bye-bye.
Come on. Obviously, you're a skater.